Are you struggling for consistency in your sim racing? Does your iRating look like a roller coaster? If so, we have good news for you. The way to get more consistent is to first understand what you're doing differently than the professionals. And VRS is the answer. With our competitive subscription, you will have the telemetry, setups, tutorials, and everything else you need to fully analyze your driving. Our data packs and the ability to compare your driving with the best in the world will show you exactly where to adjust your inputs, change your driving line, and shave seconds off of your lap times. And our powerful and precise Direct Force Pro wheelbase and precision pedals are being used by some of the world's best drivers, including Peter Berryman, John Robertson, Brandon Trano, and IndyCar World Champion Alex Palou. All these champions agree that VRS hardware is not just the best on the market, it's also priced well below the competition. So if you're looking to upgrade to direct drive and the best pedals in sim racing, VRS is your answer. If you want to get better, get faster, and make it happen sooner rather than later, you owe it to yourself to find out why so many people are switching to VRS. You'll be so glad that you did. Visit www.virtualracingschool.com and learn why the best use VRS.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Radical Racing Challenge. This week we go to the picturesque Oulton Park. We're doing the island layout, so it will make for some interesting racing. With me in the broadcasting booth, we've got the wonderful Sam Fitzpatrick, and also with us, if I can get my things correct, we've also got Mike Yao handling the cameras for us. It's a bit of an odd track for these cars. It's especially with the island layout that we're taking, a bit of a shortened layout. And Sam, I saw you shaking your head before the session, and bit of a difficult time with overtaking. What do you expect from the session going forward?
Well, I am not expecting a whole lot of overtaking. I think in this one, it is a super narrow circuit across this Oulton Park track, so a lot of fun for these drivers to drive around. Lots of cambered corners, lots of banked corners, but there is not many long straights for these drivers to be able to pull off many overtakes, so it's going to be extremely tricky for them to overtake, and so just makes this qualifying session even more important for the drivers, possibly the most important we have across the season.
Yeah, definitely agree. And we've lost a few of our usual suspects. I think one of the drivers standing to benefit from this the most is possibly Studnicka. We've seen him struggle a bit in qualifying across the entirety of the season, but I think this is going to be his night. If he can get that lap nailed, he has a good chance of putting himself on that front row and setting himself up for a good victory.
Yeah, I mean, he did not have a good qualifying last time out, did Studnicka. I think he was down in about 6th position, but just generally didn't have the pace even in the race as well. But the rest of the season he's been superb. I mean, I think he's got 3 pole positions so far in just the races that we've broadcast. I think we've broadcast about 5 of these races so far this season, and so he's really been the man to beat when it comes to that. And so yeah, it should probably be the favourite for that. we do know that you cannot see the qualifying at the moment, but we will give you radio commentary of everything that's going on. The drivers currently just about to complete their first lap times, but as my catchphrase is, Johan, the second lap is always faster than the first lap. So this is very much just a banker for the drivers.
Yeah, it's always a tricky one with these radicals. It takes almost 4 laps for me to actually get the tires warmed up. I think these strength of field drivers are a bit better with the car than I am. But even so, if you can get it done in 3 laps, it's still going to be a difficult one. So currently just looking at who's on the track at the moment. My camera is fixed on Michael Sherling at the moment. His previous lap of 1:15.115. And just looking at the different results, it's fairly low down the field. So we've currently got Roman Chacha, very interesting name there, sitting at the top of qualifying with a 1:14.508, and then Studnicka actually getting a nice lap in there with a 1:14.623. So he's looking set for a good start if he can keep that up. Moore right behind him with a 1:14.751. So bit more than a tenth between them, but not much separating Studnicka and Moore at the moment.
Yeah, and Chachashvili, I'm not sure to call him Roman Chacha or Ruben Chachashvili, but either way, he has gone pole for now. But that could well be beat by other drivers. Aldridge goes up into second place, quarter of a second behind Chachashvili at the moment, who is the car number 1, the highest seed, the highest iRacing of all of these drivers. Studnicka's just rounding the final corner at the moment. Can he put himself into pole position? No, he cannot. It was not a significant improvement on his second lap, so he qualifies in 4th position at the moment, it looks like. And there's just a few more drivers to cross the line, but most of the big hitters have already crossed the line. Nate Moore, who we haven't seen too much of in the past, and you were talking about him just before Johan, was in P3 after the provisional lap times. He is currently P10, but is looking to improve on this second time. He could be on the front 2 rows, and he is on the front 2 rows. He is in 4th position, so ahead of Studnicka. So once again, a bit of an underwhelming qualifying for Studnicka. Right there, Johan, as Freckleton moves up into 5th place. Only 6th position on the grid for Studnicka.
It's going to be a rough one, and with especially with the layout they're currently running. So essentially, just take Oulton Park and chop off the track just before Island Bend, and that's the track that we're currently running. It's a bit of a difficult one because, as you said, not really much overtaking opportunity. I am looking forward to seeing the cars go through Lodge, so that's the last corner on the track, or the penultimate corner actually, but the last corner is a bit of a non-issue in these cars, and it's a corner that tightens, and then the exit is downhill, and it's very easy to run wide there, so possible mistakes that might give a few drivers a position during the race.
Yeah, I think that corner generally as well is maybe going to be one of the best chances. I mean, you speak about mistakes through that corner, but also there are a couple of corners just beforehand as well. Quite easy to run wide. And the chicanes really are dreadful for racing around this track. You kind of think, well, you know, it's a big braking area. You know, extra couple of corners move to get the move done, but they're just so narrow and it's so easy to defend, particularly in these cars, just by putting your car in the middle of the track. Actually, kind of the chicane that we do have, if anything, maybe impedes the racing ever so slightly, but we always pick a different layout for this track every season. We always visit this track. It's, you know, a staple of the series because it's one of the free circuits. I think we pretty much use all the layouts. I think maybe the Foster's layout, which is like the shortest one, maybe we haven't used that one yet. I'm sure the heads of the Radical community will be thinking about that one for next season perhaps. But yeah, this one is a slightly unique version of this track. By the way, the reason why we're not talking about qualifying is that there is no one left out on track. Everyone's done their 2 laps, so that is all complete. And hopefully we will be able to bring you images of the track fairly soon. Maybe we'll miss the start of the race a bit. We've still got another 3 minutes or so until the green flag is out.
So I'm just going to take this quiet moment to thank our sponsors. So first up, we've got virtual racing schools. So you can use them to improve your on-track performance. They've got 50 plus data packs for road and oval racing. And there's setups, track guides, and most importantly, their data analysis software that you can use to compare lap times. They've also got one coaching if you feel like you need that little bit more of a bit of special attention. Also, then a big thanks to SDK Gaming. So you can use them to add a virtual live HUD to iRacing, show timing towers, enhanced relative boxes, minimaps, fuel calculators, and more. And that's what we use for this series. You can use it to stream to Twitch with the most complete overlay on iRacing, broadcast your leagues and series. SDK Gaming syncs your commentary team's cameras, so you can focus on the drive and overlay with your broadcaster, and then you can also adjust your team strategy on the fly with the most accurate live timing on iRacing. And also big thanks to Apex Racing Academy. They've got 29 data packs, setups, track guides, also integrated with VRS, and then weekly group coaching sessions, which is super helpful, and a few little extra bits in there, so go check them out. And we are gridding up.
We are, and we may not be able to bring you images once again, but we'll try our best. And this could go on our CVs, frankly, Johan, showing how we can convey what's happening on track, even if there aren't images for you, which is, in itself a skill which I think we both possess because we're very talented people. So we've just got 4 more drivers to get onto the grid. Everyone at the front is on. Hopefully Kyrikopoulos will take to the start, but he's just leaving it a little while at the moment. And then just a couple more Krenitz, and also Nate Moore as well, but they are nearly onto the grid and will be getting underway in just a few moments, Johan.
Yeah, so Roman Chacha looking very good there in first position. Second position, John Aldrich. Then we've got Michael Scherling in third. Nate Moore taking fourth. And then we've got Molnar, Freckleton, Stunika, Birchtal, Putiklis, Krenix. And we have actually started in time, so very good start there for Chacha. Aldrich is going to be right on his rear. Scherling as well looking for some action, so very, very clean start for all the way around. And we're going to go through the second corner, so no crashes yet that I've been able to see. Currently Molnar looking there at the rear of the cars in front of him. And checked out in front, Chacha is looking very strong as they in the run up to the hairpin. Bit of a move here, so Molnar just running towards the inside, able to hold on to his position, and in front of him we've got Scherling and Moore battling it out for position.
Yeah, really tight start for the drivers, but yeah, strong start for Chashvi. We've got a problem for Gregor Thompson, who has had an issue. I think he may have collided with Johannes Hestman, as also De Rold and Arnoldus as well, going very slowly on the exit of that corner. So yeah, a bit of a kerfuffle there. And of course, these Radical SR8 machines, anyone who isn't familiar with them, they are super fragile. The tiniest bit of contact on one of the wheels and your race is going to be over, because there are no fast repairs, of course, in this series. As we've got another off here, and that is Birchtold and Putiklis. So that is already probably 3 or 4 drivers who have got damage on this opening lap.
Yeah, it's a bit of a rough one to get your race off to a start like that. But it's nice to see a few new drivers in on the mix, and you see Kranix on your screen at the moment, duking out behind Lear, and the train, I almost said DRS train, but the draft train of cars forming very strongly as they go through the hairpin on the run down towards the chicane that they've got in front of them. And a few swaps of positions. I think there was Freckleton in the foreground getting a position for himself. And everyone getting through that chicane without any kinds of issues. So now you can see that just as they approach Druids, very, very fast corner for these cars, and you can just absolutely run the car nice and wide, carry as much speed as possible, and this is the problem zone as they go through Lodge. You can see that just it dips, goes towards the outside, so if you run a bit too wide, that's going to be a bit of a difficult one for you there. Dylan Freckleton under pressure with Molnar behind him. He's going to be able to keep ahead, but he's holding on for dear life at the moment. So you can see just a beautiful driver's perspective here, going through turn number 3, and here where we've got the track just cuts off before Island Bend, kind of missing the very exciting hairpin at the end of the track. Lots of drivers locking up at the moment, might be a bit rough on their tires. We'll see that happen towards the end of the race. Leah now in a battle here with Kranix, decides to fall in behind him, as not going to find a gap down the back straight.
Yeah, really does tighten up that one. Like I was saying earlier on, of course, those lockups as well for the drivers will just be overheating the tyres slightly, which these drivers will not be too keen on. Might affect your performance over the next couple of corners, so you have to be super careful to avoid them if you possibly can. And of course, these cars do develop a little bit of turbulent air as well, so a little bit tricky to follow, and that might cause the tyres to slide a little bit. Currently very close between Blanco and Leah. Blanco looking very close in the back of Leah. Leah up 4 places so far. Other high gainers, Boyson up 7 and Hestman up 8, despite the problem that Hestman had on lap 1.
Yeah, it's I'm also just keeping an eye on Studnicka, so still stuck in 5th position for him, and Leah now having to defend, running on the inside, and Blanco just taking a bit of a wide line. It's going to be interesting to see if he's able to keep the momentum going up the hill. It's so crucial that you gain that speed before you even hit the hill. And into the chicane, no issue for him keeping a hold of that position. I apologize for the quality of images on screen at the moment. And Leah keeping ahead of Blanco. So through Druids we go, and up towards Lodge, through Lodge. No change yet. Looking up and down the field, not too much. It's yeah, not too much interesting things going on track, as the drivers are just settling into their positions, and it's all going to be a case of who looks after the tires the best and keeps enough tread left for those crucial last, I'd say, 3 laps.
Yeah, it might be in those closing stages where actually the mistakes which we've talked about a couple of times maybe become a bit more evident. But I mean, Chachashvili is looking so dominant right now, 1.3 seconds clear, and on that last lap, him and Aldridge matched each other on lap times. Not sure if Chachashvili has won races in this series before. I think he may have won last time out, but apart from that, not a very experienced driver in this series, albeit very accomplished in various other series. I know that he's a bit of a regular when it comes to the iRacing Israel series, which we've broadcast on Apex Racing TV in the past. Aldridge has won Bathurst, I remember, a couple of seasons ago, and is always up in the top 5, so very high quality front field, but he is not making much of an impression at the moment on this time round. Chachashvili with a 13.47 and Aldridge actually with a 13.83, so that's a big difference on that lap. 3.5 tenths of a second difference, and increases the gap by about 50%.
Yeah, I think he's going to be happy with that. Kranix at the moment trying to find a bit of pace. He's got Grokovic in front of him, and he's just utilizing that draft beautifully at the moment. Leah and Blanco behind them, duking it out, so they're hoping that they can actually get away from these 2 cars behind them and just keep a hold on the position, so that 8th and 9th positions being a very solid one for them at the moment. And again, it's that chicane to me is just one of the scarier ones. I was actually commentating a touring car race where there's a slight bit of your tire that sticks out when you take the turn, and of course you try and keep it as close to those tire barriers as possible, and that little bit was enough to when it impacted that wall to actually just shear the tire rods of the car's tires, and we just had a few cars go off into the wall. So it's so tricky with these immovable tire barriers that you need to be absolutely careful that you don't hurt your car. So on screen at the moment we've got Sherling just looking at him there. If something had happened here, bits of loose driving there on the rear of the car and runs off the track. So very close call there for Michael Sherling. He's still able to hold onto his position. So sitting in fourth at the moment with Stanika right behind him. And we've seen Stanika do very well on the Nordschleife, but on these shorter tracks, it's been a bit of a different story.
Yes, yeah, I think he's I'm not sure if he's got a race win so far. I mean, I know that he has got a few pole positions, but of course some strong opposition on several occasions. And Barbara took a couple from him, who he earned back later on in the season. And of course last time at Hungarian wasn't as best. Blanco with an issue, the Uruguayan off the track. Apologies, not Uruguayan, I believe. He is Uruguayan. He is. I think on our screen it's coming up as Argentinian, but I think he is Uruguayan. That's the flag that I've got on my screen. And there it was. He was quite close to the back of the car ahead, and then making that error at the corner you were talking about earlier on, Johan, and just losing the rear end. Not sure if that was under braking or whether it was the turn in, but either way, it's lost him quite a lot of time.
Yeah, so that's the tricky bit about Lodge Corner. It's not a downhill braking zone, but you need to get your speed down to some extent because it's very difficult to. Oh, and we've got Vorshan taking the short route through the chicane, so unfortunately having to take a bit of an evasive action, and that's going to be a slowdown for him. So you can see just here on the exit what exactly happened. So looking for a lockup, see, yes, he tried to trail brake through the chicane and just a bit too late on the brakes and unable to make the turn.
So he's lost a position to Hesterman and Thompson due to that mistake. I know that slowdown very well. Anyone who saw the Apex Racing League Super Trucks Championship know that we exploited all the slowdowns, because when you drive the Super Trucks you can cut all the corners because the slowdown effect isn't significant enough. As this is getting a little bit close. Let's see if Stefan can hold on to this position. Just about does enough. No, he can't get it stopped. And this could be the opportunity for the overtake. I think Stefan's got a slightly better exit, but he needs to be able to get fully ahead before they get into the chicane if he's going to be able to make this move stick. Staying alongside though is Kranich, and Kranich is ahead, and now Stefan has to take the escape road himself. So good pressure being put on. It was a mistake from Stefan, and if it weren't for that, I don't think Kranich would have been able to get past. But shows what you need to do. You need to get the opponent offline and do it enough times, and eventually they'll break.
Yeah, that's a bit of a Vettel line that he was taking through there, but two drivers now in the course of one race. So the braking zone is just proving to be very difficult for these cars. So 10 laps down of the 23 laps, so still a fair bit of racing to go. Pretty excited about that. Molnar looking at the rear of Freckleton. Freckleton, of course, a very good driver in his own right. You can see them there just coming past the island bend, which is now actually just basically a hairpin. And still, Freckleton still holding on to that position very nicely. Bit of sliding there from Molnar as he just struggles to get the throttle down. Not enough grip on the rear of the car. Just look at that gap that opens up as they go down the back straight.
Yeah, it's really tricky to of course not leave any time on the table. You need to be able to apply the throttle confidently, but just a little bit too much there in one of the biggest traction zones I guess we have all season, honestly. That hairpin is slow as anything. Drivers probably getting down to about 50 miles an hour probably even 40 miles an hour actually, at their slowest speed. And yeah, needs to apply a lot of power after that. Jashvili just putting in a 13.4. You can see on the top of the screen. To be fair, everyone else very close. Aldridge actually the slowest out of the guys in the top 5 that last time round of it. He's still got a strong gap over the rest. Thompson, we're currently watching on the back of Hesterman. Hesterman out 10 places. Is that a recent move from Hesterman? I'm quite sure he was certainly fast on that last lap, 0.2 of a second faster than Thompson that last time. Thompson, the seed number 5, so is a very strong driver. Is the man from UK and Ireland, and but he's not able to quite get ahead at the moment. But he has really closed that gap in the first half of this tour of this Oulton Park circuit. But before you know it, you're back on the brakes. There's no time really to take advantage of the slipstream effect. Instead, they're back on the brakes through that narrow chicane, and he has to wait for one more lap.
Yeah, unfortunately, he got a very good exit out of the hairpin, but as they got to Hislops, there was just not enough overlap to actually get a move done. Of course, Druid's one of the iconic British corners, and to see the car just absolutely flying through there, it's a very good feeling if you can get Druids nailed properly. Of course, Lodge Corner also one of the tricky ones. Freckleton in front of Molnar, and he is holding on for dear life as we head through Cascades. Also very fun corner as you kind of just swing out wide, get that throttle down nice and early, and past Lakeside into the hairpin. No issues for any of the two drivers. Freckleton very good on the exit, so Molnar yet again struggling with getting the power down. That rear of the car looking very lively, and these cars do have a bit of a lively rear, and that's a mistake from Freckleton as he runs through the chicane. He's going to lose a ton of positions from this. Well, actually not too much. We'll see how much time Kranix can get on him in the run up to Druids, but I think Freckleton might be able to do some damage control.
Yeah, it'll be close between him and Kranix. I think he's still got a bit more slowdown to serve that gap, coming down to under a second, but it seems as though Freckleton, no, I think Freckleton is going to lose the position. Here comes Kranix on the back. No, Freckleton stays in 7th position, then didn't have to serve that slowdown too much in the end, so that will be a big relief for him. But yeah, that was just dipping a wheel onto the grass on under braking, and caused him to run wide. I was about to make a brilliant pun, because I think we can very much baptise the Freckleton freight train, because he seems to always be defending against drivers, does Freckleton. Every race he seems to always have someone trying to overtake him, which is very much a compliment on his on his qualifying pace. Can really put it together when it comes down to the one lap and on the race starts as well. But when it comes to the race, I think we saw it best at Hungaroring. He is at risk of dropping down the order. That time wasn't properly overtaken, but did make a mistake, and I doubt he's going to be able to come back after Molnar after that. Thompson staying super close to Hesterman. He does certainly seem to be faster than Hesterman right now, but he, once again, like we've seen from the other drivers, is relying from a mistake. Also not too far behind Scott Lee, about 1.5 seconds further up the road.
Yeah, and Thompson is just really piling on the pressure at the moment. Also the battle between Studnicka and Scherling just getting nice and interesting. Very aggressive entry to Cascades there, and 2/10 between the two drivers, so the pressure piling on. Studnicka doing everything in his power to keep as close as possible to get that pressure onto Scherling's shoulders. He really wants to see if he can force position here. Unfortunately not able to do much.
It's on Freckleton, and Freckleton's had an issue.
Oh no, that.
Nice.
So we'll have a bit of a replay to see what happened here. So you can see Freckleton there in the number 9 car in front. Heavy on the braking zone. He's got another driver in. Ooh, that's unlucky. So he gets slammed into on the outside of the turn. And that's just not a fun one.
And a lot have been happening with this, just whilst we tuned into that. we've had a change for second place, and we've had a few changes because Aldridge has made a mistake. He's gone from second place down to fourth, and I think Shirley may have got past more in all of that as well. It would be great to get a replay of exactly what happened. So it's now an Israeli 1-2, and this is what happened to Aldridge then. See many mistakes around here, albeit not usually around this part, as he just run. Oh, well, he's dipped a wheel onto the grass with a half spin, and then you can see how almost having to come to a halt there. That was more, and happily Shirling can just drive around the pair of them and move up into second position. Moore was able to eventually get past Aldridge in all this. You can see Aldridge still dropping down, and he nearly dropped behind Studnicka as well. So unforced error there from Aldridge, and bad luck for Nate Moore, because he was in a great position there, but just unlucky with how he caught the stricken Radical SRA.
Yeah, it's good avoidance from all of the drivers. It's nice to see that there wasn't really too much of a collision from them. It's going to make it very interesting for the end of the race, with positions 3, 4 and 5 in close proximity. Meanwhile, Thompson is looking for a move on Hesterman. 1.5 tenths between the two of them through Drew as they go, and on the run up to Lodge. So is he going to be able to force a mistake from his opponent here? He goes towards the outside, and now it's all about the braking zone. He's able to pull ahead and has gotten the move done and dusted before the corner even became a factor. So very clean driving there. Freckleton under pressure yet again. You spoke about him defending quite a bit, as Grokowicz looked like he was piling on the pressure, but he's fallen behind a bit after the main pit straight, and now through Cascades they go. And brilliant, no, it's a bit of a misleading camera angle there. It looked like he had a brilliant exit, but unfortunately not able to close down the gap. So Freckleton lives to fight another day with 4 tenths to spare behind him.
And we've got this big pack as well. Shirling moving up into that second place, but he hasn't been able to pull away since. And this is going to be a very long 13 laps for him to survive. Sorry, did I say 13 laps? 7 laps for him to survive in that second place. 7 seconds now off the race leader as well. And Moore just 2 tenths of a second behind. He knows that he's got to go for this one if he's going to be able to keep Aldridge behind. Studnicka the fastest out of these drivers on that last time round. And you'll be seeing the drivers run wide occasionally onto sorts of the weird curbing that we have here at Oulton Park, and you will be picking up 1Xs. Super strict on the 1Xs around this place, and the drivers have got to make sure that they don't pick up a drive-through penalty. As we see defensive driving now from Shirling. Moore's not going to be able to do anything around there, and that's just what Shirling has got to do, because once you defend the inside line into that hairpin, there is nothing the opponent driver can do really. And so that was good driving there from Shirling, keeping track position, and also makes a little bit of a gap as well. Leah, meanwhile, I think has got past both Thompson and Hesterman. So Thompson was waiting, apologies, no, so Lear was ahead of them in the first place, but Thompson and Hesterman have caught up to Scott Lear, it looks like. So a tight battle for P10.
Yeah, so basically a 7th gap between Lear and Hesterman. It's going to make for some interesting racing. Thompson, the ham in the sandwich there. So he's going to be absolutely piling on the pressure, getting Lear to know exactly who's behind him. And he's going to go for a move around the outside into Lodge corner. Is he going to be a bit too wide? Decides to fall in behind him yet again. So unfortunately not able to get as much speed out of the exit. I think he might have had a bit too much speed to really be effective with his trail braking. But now on the run down towards Cascades, having to back out of the first corner there to avoid a collision. But so much pace there onto the entry of the corner, but again then falling behind yet again, not getting the exit that he would want. And so looking for some aggressive lines, and that is Hesterman off the track. I'm not exactly sure what happened with him there.
Aldridge. So to interrupt, Aldridge has made a mistake, but here it was with Hesterman. Kind of see this one coming from a mile back. Hesterman really, I mean, I don't want to be an armchair expert here, but the opportunity on the inside was possible, because it was inevitable that the car number 5 was going to brake early. Whenever you're following another drive, you're always going to brake early so that you don't run into the back of them. And Hesterman, I was surprised that he was caught out by that, honestly. Here was Aldridge He's already made a mistake down this corner. Oh dear, it's not the exact same mistake as it was earlier on. It sure is. He's dipped a wheel onto the grass once again. And that time he lost even more time than the first time.
It's a dangerous little piece of grass on that section of the track. It almost feels like if you just barely touch it, you get thrown absolutely wide. Something that's looking interesting. So Moore and Sherling duking it out. Very slow entry into the corner there for Sherling, and Moore is going to be there to, again, just sit under that rear wing, get as much of the draft as possible, and into the braking zone for the chicane. Following closely behind. I just start sweating when I see that wheel dip into the grass.
Yeah, of course, in our screens, especially with the drivers with higher pings, can often appear as though drivers are touching the grass. Albeit we were speaking to, I think it was Greg Sykes, wasn't it, at Watkins Glen earlier this season, and he was saying how he deliberately uses the grass. He deliberately dips a wheel onto the grass in order to rotate the car. I don't think... maybe the drivers are doing it, I'm not quite sure. Wow, this is super close for more. No braking area there into turn 1. It's just dab on the brakes as they run quite wide. There'll definitely be a 1x. It's all about managing the 1x's and keeping them when you need them. If you need a bit of relief, then go track extend a bit. And then on that one, it's super strict. If you have more than half the car off the circuit, then you will pick up a 1x, which is deeply unfair. But that is the system that iRacing has got. As almost underneath there was Sherling, was more so. I think Sherling's going to have to put his car into the middle of the track this time. Not confident enough, not needing to do that, and well, he was wise to do that in the end. And super close again. There's barely anything separating these two drivers. A little bit of a mistake there, though, from Moore. Just missed the apex ever so slightly, and Sherling has about a quarter of a second gap.
So someone that I'm just slowly seeing creeping up in the background there is Studnicka in 4th position. So if these two continue to fight, he might actually get into the mix in time, although there's not much time left, 2 laps, but the tyres are going to be absolutely screaming for help at this point. And there you can see Moore just joking a little bit, saying I might take the inside line, might not, just to get a possible mistake there from Stirling. But there, Studnicka just looking to lap up any kind of mistake from these two drivers. Bit of grass and debris being thrown up as they dip a bit of a wheel on the outside of Cascades there into the hairpin. And Stirling looking a little bit more comfortable than the previous time round. Moore a bit further behind him. The effect of the draft is not going to be as pronounced. Thompson getting a bit of a battle here behind Lear, so he's going to have a bit of an opportunity on the outside. Is he going to go for the switchback? So having a look here, very wide line through the hairpin. Is he able to carry a bit of speed? Lear in front of him is tantalizingly close. Lear taking a bit of an inside line there, defending, and that's going to be all that is needed for him to keep a hold of that position.
Looked like Gotchowicz made a mistake on that previous lap. I think it may have dropped him down a couple of places. Was able to just get past Blanco at the hairpin. However, Gotchowicz lost, so he was ahead of Lear and Thompson, but made a mistake, lost about 4 seconds on that last time. But has got back past Blanco and will be looking to get past Lear and Thompson as well. Thompson managing to force Lear offline, but didn't look like quite a good enough exit. Blanco's got an excellent exit here, but Gotchowicz knows what to do, and in fact Blanco just lifting out of that one, saying how he doesn't want to fight, knows that Gotchowicz is going to be faster, and so just going to wait behind instead. Thompson keeps on getting super close to Lear, who is not braking under pressure. Again, forcing him offline, just waiting for that lock up, and once there is the gap, he'll be up it. But still, it's not appearing. We've only got a lap and a half remaining now.
That's the one thing that I really enjoy about racing in these radicals, and Chachashvili just checking out in front at the moment. So that should be the white flag. And yes, he is going to take the white flag. So last lap of racing. But that's the fun thing about these cars. You can just go and sit in practice sessions, practice your consistency, make sure that you're a very capable driver. Moore under a lot of pressure here with Sydney. Sorry, I might have the wrong driver. Sorry. That is Sherling and Moore duking it out. The Sherling taking a bit of an outside line is going to pull. Sorry, Moore taking an outside line, pulling ahead slightly, but Sherling is going to have the better line there. So taking a very defensive inside line, and Stunika also now coming into the mix. That green car in third in row as they go down the back straight. But yeah, consistency is key for these cars, and if you can be a very, very steadfast driver, it's going to reward you every single time you go out on the track. And Sherling at the moment doing very well to absorb the pressure from Moore and Stunika behind him. Only a few corners left. Chashashvili also last corner for him as he goes through Lodge corner. No issues whatsoever. Oh, I say that. He just steps out the rear. Bit of style points for the end of the race, and he's going to be very happy with that. And now Sherling looking very solid. No issues whatsoever. And we're pulling alongside him. Is it going to be a bit too late? And yes. So Chachashvili, Sherling, Moore, and Stunika Aldrich coming in fifth. And the rest of the drivers piling on through.
Ooh, this is super close. Is Blanco going to be able to get this move right at the end? I didn't think he was going to fight it. Gotchowitz, though, just about makes it on the line. That is a terrific racing right at the close. What's the gap between the two of them? I'm seeing 100th of a second, albeit that might be slightly incorrect. 1,000th of a second, gosh! As close as you'll see this season for position. Yeah, Gotchowitz after that mistake, of course, earlier on in the race, recovering a bit. Cornez, though, struggling to recover from that damage. That is, I'm surprised that's even running still. Wouldn't be surprised if he's got a meatball. It's doing still fairly straight though, but it'll be hopeless down the straights. But at least he reaches the check flag.
Yeah, so making it across the line, barely. Just seeing there in chat, someone saying, fun fact, Aldridge is amazing. And yes, he has had quite a few brilliant moments during the season. Unfortunately, we have to say goodbye to Sam. He unfortunately needs to leave us. Thank you so much for your help tonight in the commentary booth. So I'm going to be looking at a few drivers to see if we've got a few perspectives of what exactly happened in the race. In the meantime, if you have not yet done so, we've got a lot of races coming up, and we had one stellar TCR race last night, so although that's one that I commentated, so take that with a bit of a pinch of salt. But do subscribe to Apex Racing TV on YouTube if you want to see some of the races going on. Unfortunately, a few technical difficulties tonight, so maybe not our best representation of what we're normally capable of, but there is quite a few things happening. So just having a bit of a look at our upcoming streams. So we've got scheduled for the 19th, so for tomorrow afternoon, and we've got the VRS Sim Racing Community Cup. That's going to be an interesting little drive. Then we've got the Formula 3.5 Championship Week 10 at Spa. That's also going to be on the 19th in the evening, well, for me at least. And then Champion Motorsports iRacing Team Endurance, that will be on the 20th, so a bit of a racing that you can watch on Sunday. Also, the SRF Weekend Warriors are visiting Angara Ring, so that will make for a very interesting watch, basically overgrown go-karts. So definitely check that out on Sunday. Then we've also got the RGP Fun Formula 3 VRS sponsored by 3D Wrap. They're doing the round 10 at Sebring. That will be also on the Sunday evening. And then on the Monday, we've got the Apex Racing League Master Cup, round 5 at Knockhill. That will make for some interesting racing. Knockhill, of course, one of the newer circuits for the season. It's made for some spectacular racing in any kind of tin roof, so definitely do check that out. We've also got the Ricmotech World Challenge round 3 at Hungaroring. That will be on the 22nd, so that will be Tuesday. And then the Samutech Motorsports TCR Series, the winter season, and they will be visiting Brands Hatch. So also on the Tuesday, so definitely check that out. The TCR is being very popular this season. And then we've got ORL GT3 Pro Trophy that will also be at Sebring on the Tuesday, and the Apex Racing Academy Porsche Cup Championship. That will be on the Wednesday at Zandvoort. So also making for an interesting watch. Unfortunately, none of the drivers joining us this time around. If you do participate in these strength of field races, do come and check in with us. When you do participate in the race, it's always interesting to see the different perspectives of the drivers as they participate. Also, apologies, I never actually visited the results as we ended the race, but out in first position, we've got Chajashvili checking out completely 10 seconds gap between him and Sherling. And then Michael Sherling, of course, well-earned second position. Nate Moore taking third. Marek Studnicka improving a bit to take that fourth position. So maybe not exactly what he was looking for, but still a drive from him there. And then John Aldrich, damage control extraordinaire, managing to hold on to fifth position, even though he had a bit of difficulty there during the race. Then we've got Mark Molnar taking sixth. Kranix seventh. Freckleton eighth. Thompson 9th, Leah in 10th, rounding out 10th position. Then we've got Grokovic in 11th, Erfel Blanco 12th, Arnoldus taking 13th, and then Hesterman in 14th, then Derold 15, Gabe 16, Corners 17, Voisin 18, Bergstolt in 19th, Putiklis and Kirakopoulos 20th and 21st. The last four drivers are fortunately not able to complete the race. But yeah, do check us out on social media. We have an Instagram presence as well. You can just go look for Apex Racing TV. Also check us out on Twitter as well. And you get little fun highlights from the week's races to see exactly where the interesting things have been happening. And then from myself and Mike, also on Sam Fitzpatrick, thank you so much for joining us tonight. Thank you for bearing with us. We will be regrouping for next week. Just also need to quickly mention that. So next week we are visiting the Barber Motorsports Park, doing the full course. That will be an interesting race, but bit of a draft race as well. But it's going to be a bit of a tricky track for the drivers. So do check that out next week. So we'll be regrouping for that one. And we're looking forward to seeing the drivers on track. From myself, Johan, and from Sam and Mike, we hope you have a wonderful evening. And we'll see you next time.
Are you struggling for consistency in your sim racing? Does your iRating look like a roller coaster? If so, we have good news for you. The way to get more consistent is to first understand what you're doing differently than the professionals. And VRS is the answer. With our competitive subscription, You will have the telemetry, setups, tutorials, and everything else you need to fully analyze your driving. Our data packs and the ability to compare your driving with the best in the world will show you exactly where to adjust your inputs, change your driving line, and shave seconds off of your lap times. And our powerful and precise Direct Force Pro wheelbase and precision pedals are being used by some of the world's best drivers, including Peter Berryman, John Robertson, Brandon Trano, and IndyCar World Champion Alex Palou. All these champions agree that VRS hardware is not just the best on the market, it's also priced well below the competition. So if you're looking to upgrade to direct drive and the best pedals in sim racing, VRS is your answer. If you want to get better, get faster, and make it happen sooner rather than later, you owe it to yourself to find out why so many people are switching to VRS. You'll be so glad that you did. Visit www.virtualracingschool.com and learn why the best use VRS.